This is Galaxy Voice Joe Tutino, and you're listening to SportSpeak Radio.
How's it going out there, world? We're SportSpeak Radio, and we're here at the home of your Los Angeles Galaxy, the new home, old home but new home, new name, the StubHub Center. We're here with the play-by-play announcer for the Galaxy, Mr. Joe Tutino. How you doing, sir?
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm doing great.
I'm here, HR Cole, along with head writer Todd Boldazar and our field correspondent, Miss Liz Harkin. So, Joe, just to start everything off, we know that you're a big fan of soccer, big fan of sports in general. Right. What was one of your biggest, or who was one of your biggest influences growing up when you actually were a fan playing as a kid?
There were many, especially from the LA area. Bob Miller, the voice of the Kings. Nick Nixon, also one of the voices of the Kings. Of course, the late Chick Hearn and his personality.
I love Chick.
And obviously Vin Scully with his storytelling. I don't think I'll ever be able to tell stories like Vin Scully. But all those guys, you kind of listen and you learn, and hopefully something rubs off. The good stuff rubs off. And in San Diego, there was a soccer announcer by the name of Randy Hahn, who LA King fans might know as now the voice of the San Jose Sharks, who does a great job as well. So a little bit of everything. But honestly, I didn't think I was going to be a broadcaster as a kid. I thought actually I was going to be a sports writer.
But being a storyteller, you've been out around sports for such a long time, and you've been here with the Galaxy for a number of years.
Yeah.
You have a lot of stories. You have to have a lot of stories out there.
There are a lot of stories, and usually we tell a lot of them on the road, and our language gets a little blue along the way. But yeah, there are a lot of good things that we've been a part of. I mean, this facility, opening up this facility, was one of the statements that we made in Major League Soccer, and obviously through Mr. Anschutz and Mr. Leiweke, who was here as the president of the Galaxy and AEG at the time. They made this thing happen, and we felt, well, okay, we're on stable footing now. And now we really are on stable footing, as we are going to have 20 teams with a second team in New York, and there's talk of a 21st team here in the not too distant future. So things are going well for our sport in this country.
And after a decade being in existence with MLS and so forth, like you said, teams growing, franchise growing. What do you think of the Guinness Series that's coming up, the International Championship that's going to happen over at Dodger Stadium?
I think it's great. I think it's something that it's good to have our champion teams of Major League Soccer involved. In this case, it happens to be the Galaxy, so we're fortunate in that regard. But it's just something that it's now taking on another step. Usually you'd see these international teams come play a tournament like this, and they might exclude American teams, and now you're having an MLS champion involved in this, and I think it's quite an honor.
Well, that being said, on top of with everything you said, with the community growing in soccer, Major League Soccer, what do you think has happened with the LA Galaxy community?
Well, I think what's happened with it is just multiplied year in and year out. We have situations now. You see behind me people wearing Galaxy white jerseys, Galaxy blue jerseys, Galaxy old school jerseys, and there have been a number of different renditions of it. And I think that just is basically a staple of from generation of fan, from generation to another generation. Obviously, we've only been around 18 years in Major League Soccer, but I've always felt that sports fans, the generation kind of turns over every 10 years. So we're kind of into our second generation right now of sports fans, with starting at, say, 10 years old and becoming adults.
It must feel great, the fact that we have now generational jerseys for the Galaxy. And speaking about wearing the colors, our field correspondent, our newest correspondent, who's joined us with our last broadcast when we spoke to Lasora's Lair, here with us now wearing the new stadium's colors, StubHub blue and the orange. See with our little swag on. Well, she has the next question for you.
Get right in. You're good to go.
Yes. So the game tonight, Coach Arena, what do you think he is saying to the players right now? What do you think he's saying to prep them for the game against the Timbers tonight?
Well, I think from the Galaxy standpoint right now is, obviously, you guys know they've been on a 2-game slide to this point. They want to get back on track. They were up around second place before they started losing players like Robbie Keane and Omar Gonzalez to national team call-ups, and the team took a little slide back. They find themselves in 5th place right now. Defensively, they've given up 8 goals in the last 2 games. That's not what a Galaxy team is all about. Usually it's great goalkeeping, great defense, and if they have to grind out a win or a tie, then they do that. And that's uncharacteristic about how the team is playing right now. So I think not having talked to Bruce Arena, I think the first thing is, hey, let's start playing Galaxy soccer. Let's get back on track. Let's take care of business tonight. We're finally back at home after being on the road for 5 out of the last 7 games on the road. Let's get the points here tonight. Let's take care of business on Sunday. Let's get our season back to where we want it to be.
Do you see any particular players stepping up, taking that leadership role tonight in the game?
Well, the return of Robbie Keane is important, and he not only is at this point now their leading goal scorer since Mike McGee went on to Chicago in the trade that brought in Robbie Rogers. What he is also, though, he is the true leader of this team and keeps the team together. And so having him back on the field is going to be a big deal for the Galaxy. For that matter, too, is now Landon Donovan is getting back into a groove. Everybody knows Landon was gone for the first part of the season. Now he's back, and he's had, I guess, his full training camp while playing. And so we've seen over the last couple of games Landon becoming more and more the leader, not only by vocal, but a leader of example and playing to the standards that we're used to seeing from him. So those would be the 2 guys the Galaxy are going to rely upon, and the return of Omar Gonzalez. We're not going to see him tonight as he played with Team USA last night, but when he gets back on that defense, he will shore up the defensive problems as well. So I think the Galaxy, while right now we're a little concerned with the way things are going, we know there are better days to come.
Right.
It's always nice to know that we have players that are able to kind of step up for the injured when they're out there and kind of keep us in line to move forward, especially going into the Cup in a number of months, midway through the season as we have.
Joe, we wanted to ask you, there's been some major trades this season with the team, and we're kind of wondering where the team's chemistry at is now. You bring in Robbie Keane and also their new acquisition, which you've been training us on his last name. Can you say that for us one more time?
Pablo Mastroeni. That's what I'm going to call him tonight, and that's what I called him what I called him when he played with Colorado. So that's what I'm going to call him.
At home, it's a new drinking game. Try to say that name 3 times fast.
Until somebody tells me, no, you've been pronouncing it the wrong way. But we'll figure that out before the game tonight. But, Pablo is a former national teamer. He's obviously up there now. He's 36 years old. He's had some injuries, but he's now healthy and he's pretty fresh. So picking him up, as you talked about, HR, mid-season at this point, and he's pretty fresh, he could be a rent-a-vet situation for the Galaxy. I think one of the issues the Galaxy are having right now is having that leadership in midfield, a stopper-type player that could win balls in midfield and make a good first pass. And that's where the Galaxy have had some issues right now. Absolutely. And they've also had, tonight they're missing one of their starters in Marcelo Sarvas, who unfortunately is going to miss because of yellow card points. So he's been suspended for a game. So if he gets a chance to play tonight, Pablo, I'm assuming he'll get in there. But if he does, I think that's what I'd like to see from him. The other thing he's going to bring is once the Galaxy have all their players back, young and old, he's going to be, in my opinion, a player off the bench that's going to be a veteran coming off the bench. Something unique to this Galaxy team this year is the fact that we've had young players in the starting lineup that have done well, but usually the first player off the bench is another young player. Right. And in the past, we've had veterans come off the bench, and I think that mix is what the Galaxy are trying to recreate again.
Yeah, we sure hope so. I've got one more question for you regarding tonight's game. Tonight the Galaxy are playing the Portland Timbers, who are coming off of a 13-game undefeated streak. They're going for first place right now. They're pretty close. What can we expect from them? What style of play, and how will the Galaxy counter?
Well, I think from their standpoint, Ryan Johnson, who plays for Jamaica, of course, Donovan Ricketts, who formerly played here with the LA Galaxy, was great in goal. These are 2 players that are doing very well for them. A player they picked up in the offseason who played for Salt Lake last year, who's now the captain of this team, Will Johnson, has really, those 3 players, in my opinion, have brought this team together. Other than the coaching change, and of course there's a little philosophy change there, they're playing with a tremendous amount of confidence. They've only lost 1 game on the season. You mentioned the fact, undefeated in their last 13, and now they feel they're blood is in the water. They smell blood in the water with the Galaxy. They've never beaten the Galaxy. They feel like they can come in here and say, you know what, we're going to take 3 points from the Galaxy. We're going to get a win. We're going to stay unbeaten in 14, and we're going to take over first place in the West. Not only in the West, but if they win tonight, they'll be the top team of the league. So it's a big deal.
Would you say chemistry has to come into play when you have a team that's on such a huge win streak as we were talking about with Portland tonight, and especially the fact that we still don't have the team completely together, young and old, that you just mentioned a few minutes ago? I
think it's 2 different things. I think from the Galaxy standpoint, you're talking about 2-time defending champions. Right. They've been through this before. In fact, last year was a horrible start. They went 3-8-2 at the start of the season, and nobody thought they'd make the playoffs, and then they made the big run into the playoffs, went on to win the championship. For a team like Portland, which is a young team in this league and a young team as far as the roster is concerned, what they're doing right now, from my opinion, is that Caleb Porter, the coach of this club, has got them all to believe. They have tremendous amount of confidence. So their chemistry is a little bit different than that of the Galaxy. The Galaxy are saying, okay, we've been through this before. We'll figure this out. Portland is saying, boy, we're world beaters at this point. We're going to run through the whole season. We're going to run everybody down. So will the Galaxy hit them between the eyes tonight and give them a little dose of reality? That remains to be seen. We'll find out, hopefully.
Well, our fans, young and old, as we're going back to the whole thing about young and old, have a big question for you.
Okay.
What has been the biggest surprise out there for the season so far for the Galaxy that you've seen?
Biggest surprise for the Galaxy so far this season? There are two. The two players that have come of age, Jack McBean is a player who's now coming back from a collarbone injury. He broke his collarbone when the Galaxy won at Salt Lake with 5 young starters. He's been a pleasant surprise that he's kind of grown. He's growing into his body, and he's really going to be a great player going forward. The other one is a player who's now with the under-20 national team, and that's Jose Villarreal. And these are guys that are what we call homegrown players with the Galaxy. These guys are products of the Galaxy Academy. They haven't even gone to college, these kids. In fact, they're ahead of the draftees, not only from this year, but from last year's college draft. So to me, it's signaling a change in where we are as a league, as a sport in this country, that we're developing our own players. So in that regard, that would be my pleasant surprise.
You know what, we may have to have you, Joe, come in studio and talk to us a little bit more about the whole Galaxy Academy.
Okay.
And the fact that, is this more of a widespread thing across MLS altogether?
Yeah, each of the clubs have their own academies. They started under 18. They're done, I believe, now under 14. So that's how many teams they have coming on board. They all compete in tournaments around the country in their own regions. And the Galaxy Academy teams do rather well.
Well, that's us for here right now at the new StubHub Center, formerly the Home Depot Center for all of you guys who don't know out there. For Todd Boulders, our head writer, correspondent Liz Harkin, Mr. Joe Tutino is about to go inside there and call tonight's game against the Timbers. I'm HR Cole. You guys stay tuned to more SportSpeak Radio. Find us online at sportspeakradio.wix.com/home. And of course, us on YouTube, youtube.com/sportspeakradio. We will see you guys in a little bit. Take care.
Joe Tutino, voice of the LA Galaxy. I've just spent some time with the folks at SportSpeak Radio. Keep on supporting them. They're doing some great things.